Good morning, loves. How are you? I hope we're live. I hope this is working. Good morning, my darling. Thank you so much for checking in, for creating some space in your day for the first day of the three-part training, Date Yourself. I am Sierra Melker, and I am both equally parts excited and nervous to be sharing my new book with the whole world, and especially with you. I'm really looking forward to the next 3 days where we're going to get to create community together, where you are going to have some time and some space to really connect with yourself in a different way, because that's what Date Yourself is all about. If you are here with us, a number of folks are live. Just put a note in the comments so I know who's here, where you're tuning in from. If you got the chapters that were part of registration, let me know that you got the chapters. If you didn't get the chapters, hi Carrie, good morning, thanks for being here. If you didn't get the chapters, let's tag my assistant. I'm going to put Lindell. This is Lindell. If you did not get the chapters, tag her, okay? And she can help you out. So we're here. Good morning. Take a deep breath. Thanks for signing in. Thanks for creating some space. And I know that you had this on. Hi, Rose. Carrie's in California. Awesome. And has the chapters. Thank you. You're here. You put this in your calendar. You made this a priority, and that is already huge. Okay? When you saw the invitation to this, something caught your attention, whether you even know me or whether you know Date Yourself, there's something in here that's calling to you. So what we're going to do today is we're going to, first of all, we're going to debunk a couple of myths, because it's really important to get the clutter out of the way before we even get into the rest of the stuff. So if we're operating believing these myths, anything I say after that won't matter. So we're going to debunk some myths. We're going to dive in a little bit to the underlying foundational concepts of Date Yourself, and then we're going to do a practice together. We'll have a little bit of homework or something that you can do for yourself between now and tomorrow, and then we'll get into the next part little by little, okay? Kelly's here, right in my neighborhood. Excellent, Sarah. Good morning, Sarah. Thank you for being here. I'm happy you're all here. All right, so a couple of the myths, and some of these came through the poll, some of them have come through comments recently, and some of them I'm just very familiar myself. One myth about dating yourself, or the underlying concept of like self-love, self-like, self-confidence, is that it should be easy, right? Just like yourself. Oh, just tell yourself nice things. Just fill in the blank. And I want to start with this myth. Let me know in the comments if you are familiar with this belief or this external imposing story that to like yourself, to have a relationship with yourself, to have self-love should be easy. Let me know in the comments. Just say like, yep, with that, okay? Yeah, Sarah, we are definitely going to clear away some of the clutter, because it's these myths that are obstacles, right? And myth number one is that this should be easy. And when we come up against anything that's like, ooh, this is uncomfortable, ooh, this is hard. The books that I've read about this concept, self-love, I read them and I'm like, this is not easy for me. There's already something wrong with me. And so I read the whole book through this lens of there is something wrong with me. Okay. Reading a book about self-love, I'm literally giving myself goosebumps. Reading a book about self-love through the lens, there is something wrong with me. The whole book just made me feel worse. Not one whole book, but the whole concept. Should be easy. Tina says it should be easy. However, it hasn't been for me. It's because it's not. This is so that Tina is tuning in just now. We're debunking some myths. Number one, self-love. We believe that it should be easy, but what if we change that story a little bit. And from the very outset, we say, I know that this is going to be awkward and uncomfortable and challenging in certain ways. What if that's the context that we show up here with? And we say, you know what? I'm actually ready for this to be hard. I'm ready for this to be new. And because it's new, um, anything that's new. I mean, if you take on a new sport, you're going to have sore muscles. If you're going to take on a new job, you're going to have all this new learning you need to do. You take on a new anything, it is uncomfortable, it's unfamiliar because it's unfamiliar, and then it's hard. So, number 1, let's just get rid of the story that it's easy. How does that feel? What does it feel like to make some space by taking this self-love should be easy and just dropping it out the window? Definitely uncomfortable. And Carrie, one of my favorite sort of topics to turn is discomfort. If we think that discomfort has something inherently wrong with it, we will also resist anything that's uncomfortable. But if we turn discomfort and we say, oh, this is me learning, this is what learning feels like, this is what growing as a person feels like, then discomfort all of a sudden isn't just something that we should avoid at all costs. It can be something that we examine and that we even say, oh, discomfort, you're here. That means I'm learning and growing. Wow, that's cool. I'm so excited to be learning and growing, right? There's a distinction between discomfort and fear and danger. I'm not encouraging you to go into dangerous places with this in that very physical sense, but just, okay, I'm uncomfortable. Uncomfortable isn't a bad thing. Uncomfortable means you're learning and growing. So we can reframe discomfort with growth, because that is going to happen here. The whole point, you're showing up here, you put this on your calendar, you showed up because you want something. So when the discomfort comes, not if, when the discomfort comes, recognize it as a milestone. This is a goalpost. I want to do this so that I can be uncomfortable, so that I can discover what I need to discover and learn and grow. Okay. And getting comfortable with the discomfort, like Tina says, is definitely a thing. I'm just getting familiar with the discomfort. Okay. Which, and I think eventually maybe comfort with the discomfort comes, but anything that's familiar to our autonomic nervous system, our fight, flight, freeze, if it's familiar, all of a sudden it's not so scary. Okay. And so we don't want to be scared, because when we're scared, we're not really present and we're not fully functional. So building this familiarity with discomfort, even more than comfort with discomfort, because you get discomfort by definition is always going to be uncomfortable. So myth number 1 that we are going to be nudging off the table, at least for the next couple of days, is self-love is easy. Okay. Number 2, you should know this already, which sort of goes with it should be easy, but we should all just know this. Of course you should love yourself. Of course, it's everything, the rhetoric out there and all the stories of this should be natural. You should love yourself. Okay. Let me know if you feel that one. And the whole I should already, I definitely feel I should have this already. But even under that, the I should already storyline, as we'll get into later when we get closer to digging into today's topic, I should already is self-battery. Okay. I should already is me attacking myself. And so this myth about self-love is really important to look at and recognize when we stumble into it, because there's, oh, I should this already, I should that already, I should be married already, I should have a family already, I should have this, I should be making that, I should already, I should already, I should already. And that is like an attack on, sitting on a pile of shoulds. Camille and I were talking about shoulds yesterday, and Camille, can I share our reframe about that? Um, when you hear yourself say, I should, in your head or even out loud, oh, I should wash the dishes. Okay, for me, the dishes are like a thing. Do not love washing dishes. And so if I say to myself, I should wash the dishes, there's no action in that. Um, yeah, when you should, you feel bad about yourself. Exactly, Tina. The There's no action in should. It is just I'm going to sit here and beat myself up about it. I'm going to feel bad about it, like Tina says. If we want to remove, a lot of people say just like take should out of your vocabulary. Anytime you're taking something out, like if you're trying to quit smoking or you're trying to take should out or you're trying to undo something, it's really hard just to remove it because then there's like a vacuum, or there's a void that used to be filled. So instead of just trying to take it out and struggling, replace should with something else. So, oh, the video stopped. Oh dear. Anyway, Camille, I'm sharing our replace shoulds with. So take the should out and replace it with I want to. How different is a statement, I should wash the dishes, to I want to wash the dishes, or I want a clean kitchen. Okay, I don't want to wash the dishes, but I want a clean kitchen. And so I'm going to get up and I'm going to go wash the dishes. And then guess what? I'm going to have a clean kitchen. So anytime there's a should, I should know this already. I should be there already. Take the should out, replace it with I want, or for people who are really into manifestation, I am or I have, and then follow it up with action. Okay, don't just manifest from the couch. You have to like change the language and then change the behavior. Okay, because the dishes unfortunately do not wash themselves. So, wrapping this myth up, the I should already, or this should be easy and I should have this already, I should have figured this out already. Take the should out, add in I want, and then follow it up with action. Okay. What do you want? Okay. What does that feel like? Good morning, Veronica. Yay. You've just gotten home from a long day, long night's work, but you are here. Bless you, my love. All right. So the third myth, the first myth is it's easy. Self-love is easy. We're burn that. Okay. If throwing it off the table and throwing it out the window doesn't work, just burn it in like, okay. You should know this already is a myth we are getting rid of. Anything should already clear the space. And the last is that it's easier to have a relationship with yourself than with others. Let me know if that one resonates. There are going to be other myths. And so if you stumble upon another myth or you have some in mind about some of what are the obstacles right now about this self-compassion, self-love, self-like, just empathy for yourself. If you're discovering more myths or stumbling blocks and obstacles, put them in the comments, let us know. But how does this one sit with you? It's easier to have a relationship with yourself than with other people. How does that sit? Okay. Is anyone else having, a couple people are saying they're having trouble with the internet, and that would be a bummer. Anybody else having trouble, or it's okay? All right, I'm going to keep on going. This idea that it's easier to have a relationship with ourselves than another person, I need to blow that one up as well, because first of all, we are physical creatures and we live in a world that really, really honors and recognizes the physical. Okay. Tina, tell me more about what you don't agree with. You don't think it's easier to have a relationship with yourself than with others? I also don't. We are taught, we are taught to interact with each other. We're taught to acquire stuff. We're taught this outside, external, engaging with the world. Okay. We're taught to be nice to other people. We're taught to consider other people's feelings. We're taught to not hurt people, blah, 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 blah. We're taught all of this stuff. But I certainly I wasn't taught how to talk to myself. I wasn't taught how to notice my own thoughts and notice that interaction. I only think of myself as one, so how can I have a relationship with myself? Okay. Hi, Joy. Okay. I don't understand, Joy, the question. It's harder for me to give love to myself. Yeah, Veronica, it's harder for me to give love to myself and easier for me to give love to others. So I don't agree as well. It's a myth, okay? It's not a statement, it's a myth. Um, but that it maybe should be. It should be easier. We are naturally, we know, we have been taught and trained how to care for others and how to love others. So this whole process, we're going to move out of some of the myths if there's other myths. Um, good. Okay. Um, thank you all. It's wonderful. I'm maybe I'm going to pause paying attention to the comments for a second and focus so that I can bring you what I want to bring you. We are good at taking care of others. We are good at being aware of what others need. We are excellent friends. We can be wonderful lovers. We can be excellent parents, colleagues, all of this, family members. We are excellent. We are. And the basis, this is the sort of the catch 22. And I'm going to get into my story in a minute. This is where the foundation of all of our other relationships is built on our own relationship, our relationship with ourselves. If we are kind and generous and loving to others, but we are feeling underappreciated, underrecognized, unloved, unseen, uh, disgusting in our own skin, if we don't feel safe, good, loved, whether it's just internally and or externally, it eventually and subtly will change the nature of our interactions with other people. Um, so one of the things I say is the depth and the extent to which all of our relationships, like we can only go as far with others as we're willing to go with ourselves in terms of intimacy, in terms of confidence, in terms of kindness. We can maybe the kindness that we give to others, maybe I need to explore that one a little bit, but the extent to which we can connect with others is dependent on our ability to connect with ourselves. And so that's why dating yourself is so important. I want to tell you my story though. So my story has many parts. And when it came to writing my book, a lot of people were like, so what was that one moment where it, clicked for you? And I couldn't find the one moment. I found 24 moments. Um, and maybe it's always been a whisper in the back, but there's some key moments for me. And so Veronica, can I share, was when I was teaching high school for years, my first career was a high school teacher. I was so passionate about doing that job well. And I was so invested in my students and in my role as a teacher that I thought if I dedicated myself enough, if I gave enough of myself, all of my waking hours, all of my money, all of my love, all of my attention to my job as a teacher, then I would be fulfilled. Then I would be enough. Then I would be lovable. And it turns out that doing that made me a lopsided person. I was exhausted all the time. I forgot what I liked to do outside of lesson planning. And no matter how much you like lesson planning, there's a limit, okay? But I lost me in my pursuit of doing that job really well. And I want to know if anyone has a similar experience, whether you've lost yourself in the pursuit of work or lost yourself in a relationship, in the pursuit of being a good daughter or a good partner or a good parent. If you've lost sort of who you are at the core because you're trying to be a role so well. And what happened for me, I didn't ever exercise. I only ate what was easy and delicious because the only joy that I felt was through food. And so I was working my butt off. I was gaining weight, over a number of years, which then made me feel tired and disconnected. And I certainly wasn't open for real relationships. I was open to superficial relationships, romantic relationships, sexual relationships, but I wasn't open for really letting somebody in because I still felt like there was a gold ring, a teacher gold ring that I needed to accomplish to then be lovable. I didn't think I was ready to be loved yet. I had not accomplished in my own mind what I thought that I needed. And this is so eventually I kept on chasing some gold rings. I had relationships, but they were shallow. They were only as deep as I was willing to go, and I didn't think I was lovable, so I wasn't going to show anybody what was underneath. And years went by. I was a teacher for 12, almost 15, I don't know, I'll have to do the math, a long time, over a decade. Loved my work, loved my students, had some fulfilling things, traveled the world. I ticked a lot of the boxes that I thought that I was supposed to tick, but I wasn't feeling more lovable. I wasn't feeling more satisfied. Um, I still just, and I got stuck in the pursuit. Okay. I got addicted to the doing and the reaching, and I was like, oh, this is familiar and therefore comfortable. I don't know how to get familiar or comfortable with being vulnerable. And I didn't have this limit. Anyway. So I do share the reason I wrote the book Date Yourself, it's right behind me, is because I recognized that I was not the only one. I really thought that I was the only one. And maybe this is another myth. This is maybe the myth. Number 4, you're the only one who struggles with self-love. You're the only one. That's a myth. In my women's circles that I've been holding now for a number of years, that's I'm the only one is something that a lot of people come in with. And that's this belief that whatever we're struggling with, we are the only one struggling with it and everybody else has it figured out. Okay? You're not the only one. And when I figured out that I was not the only one, I left teaching. I became a yoga teacher. I opened a yoga studio. I studied Reiki. I had a baby. And a bunch of these are really big milestones. And they shifted something in me. And I knew that I still had something that was missing. When I looked at my new baby girl, I was like, okay, I want to give her the best I can give her. So what does that look like? And I realized that I wasn't giving myself the best that I had, and I didn't want her to subtly learn how to be terrible to herself because I was terrible to myself. Okay, that story of I should already, and I told you that I had gained a bunch of weight as being a teacher, trying to get to that lovable place. But the harder you work to be lovable and the more weight you gain to be lovable, then all of a sudden the story I have about oh, well, you have to be a size something in order to be lovable. Okay. It doesn't matter what the size is, but it's always something that I'm not. Okay. So one of the invitations I want you to play with is what are the stories that you have? I have to be blank to be lovable. Okay. What's there? What are your underpinnings that say I have to be this to be lovable? Because what I came to discover is that the person I spend the most time with, the person that I am the most connected with, is not someone out there. It's not. Even in quarantine, I have been 24/7 with my 5-year-old, and I'm spending even more time than that with myself. Okay. And so I realized that my primary relationship, I used to think that primary relationship was with my person. Okay. My, my romantic partner, but it's not. My primary relationship exceeds that in terms of duration and contact. And, you know, I am in my own head all the time, and you are too. And so there's more than one voice in there. And this is where it's separate, like learning to distinguish. We're not just the physical world, but there is like an internal culture. You're basically an ecosystem. And and so what is the nature of your ecosystem right now? So your primary relationship is you with you. Because no matter how many partners you have or how long you are with one partner, you're going to be with yourself longer. The one relationship you're in for the entirety of your life is with yourself. And that came to me in a shot. And I also recognized that I was in a toxic, abusive, and a neglectful relationship with myself. So that came as a shock to me because I was a good friend and I was really trying to be all these things to all these people, but I was in a toxic space with myself. And I know that the time is running close, so I am going to wrap us up here shortly, but definitely seeing the nature of my own primary relationship allowed for me to look at it differently. And so if we're going to use this metaphor throughout in the book and in this training, that we have relationships with other people, but we also have these relationships with ourselves. So if a friend were in an abusive relationship with a partner, what would she need in order to recognize, first of all, recognize that it's not healthy and it's not good for her? That's a huge part, and nothing else happens until you can recognize that it's a toxic, unhealthy space. What would she then need to have the confidence to do something about it? And then what would she need after she got out? So those are big questions. And I flipped that and I said, okay, I'm in a toxic relationship with myself. I am in an abusive relationship with myself. And we can get into how we self-abuse later. I don't want to derail in the last few minutes. But so recognizing the nature of the relationship, building the confidence, and then what do you need after that? But I was in this relationship with myself. I can't leave. I'm not leaving. I'm stuck here with me. So how do I change the nature of this relationship? And all the tools in the book, and as you've been reading in the chapters, there's already some steps, right? And so in chapter 1, chapter 2, we're starting to break up. You have to break up with the old stuff. You have to break up with the old stories. You have to let go of some of the stuff, which is why we started with myths, to get to the next, to have a clean slate. And so when I looked at my relationship with myself and I said, wow, this is really unhealthy and I don't want this relationship. I need to start shifting it. How do I do that? First is by recognizing the nature of the relationship. Okay. And so that's going to actually be your homework. If you don't like the word homework, it is your invitation, and your opportunity for today is to take a step back and look at your relationship with yourself. Okay. What is the nature of your relationship with yourself? You're going to pause with this. I think I've gone over a little bit longer than I intended to, but if you're up for it, I'm going to do a brief exercise, and then we'll wrap up. And this is an exercise that I shared with my women's circle this week. And one of the ways that my clients become self-empowered and really channel self-love is through regularly exploring, asking these questions, tuning in and checking in what's their relationship with themselves, and then taking a small action to shift it. So I'm going to share for the next, let's give it 6 more minutes, okay? Um, Veronica, I love that you love homework. As the former teacher, I'm still like, homework. All right, but Veronica's up for homework and she was one of my students in the past, so she can handle it. All right, we're gonna do a practice now for a couple of minutes, and then your homework is going to be posting post in the comments what you experienced, okay? And when you post, when you share your own experience, you are being brave, you are shifting it by actually just naming it, and then you're giving permission to others to do the same. And so it's a really powerful act. So if you have anything in your hands, put your hands down, take a couple of deep breaths. Unless you're driving a car, I want you to shake everything out and close your eyes. Relax your shoulders for a few minutes. Okay. Take a couple of deeper breaths. Let your eyes close. You're going to let your body and your mind slow down just a little bit. And as you do that, I want you to notice any sensations in your body. What does it feel like to begin to breathe slower? What do you notice on your skin, maybe in your head or in your belly? And as you're slowing down, taking these deep breaths, what do you notice in your mind? Is your mind erasing? What are your thoughts? What are the nature of your thoughts right now? What are your thoughts about your thoughts as you start to notice them? Are you picking and choosing and saying, oh, yes, I should have those thoughts and I shouldn't have those thoughts? Oh, she's having us breathe slowly, so maybe I should be doing it this way. Just notice what's happening in that mind of yours. And if this is a new practice for you or a new experience, I want you to stay here a little bit longer. If this is something that you're familiar with, the next part of this exercise we will do now. You're going to stay aware of the subtle sensations in your body. You're going to keep noticing your thoughts. But with each of the next 3 breaths, I want your sort of mind's eye, your perspective, to take a step back from yourself. You move away from your body. Maybe you move up or you move out to the side. But I want you to be able to see yourself. So take another deep breath, take a step back. And another deep breath, take one more step back or up so that you can see yourself. There she is. You can still feel all the sensations. You're noticing them, but they're not yours. You're aware of them, but they do not belong to you. What does it feel like to see yourself from a distance? See the woman that you are. What's the difference of looking at yourself from a removed space and not being so attached or entwined in your thoughts, in your hopes, in your fears, in your discomforts. How do you want to relate to this woman? How do you want to support this woman? What advice does she need? What encouragement does she need? When you're ready, you're going to take 3 more breaths. And with each breath, you're going to come a little bit closer until you're all the way back. Your awareness is fully present in your body. 1 breath, 1 step. 1 breath, 1 step. And 1 breath, 1 step. Now you're both. You're both your thoughts, your sensations, your moment-to-moment experiences, but you're also this slightly removed, maybe calmer, wiser self. This is the beginning of playing with your relationship with self and how you can shift the nature of that relationship. So when you're ready, you're going to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Maybe you're going to drop your head to one side and stretch your neck. Drop your head to the other side. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So this is one practice. And you can go back and watch this replay. You can repeat this to yourself, some calm breaths, noticing your thoughts, noticing your physical sensations, and then taking 3 steps back. I'll be really interested to hear, what did it feel like? How successful were you, first of all? If this is new, know that you don't have to already be great at this. It can be hard in the beginning, but as you practice feeling your body, noticing your thoughts, even noticing the judgments of your thoughts, you will get more literate and more skilled at this. If this is a new muscle, this is a new, if I'm your physical trainer, you're going to be sore. That's okay. So what were your sensations? What did it feel like? Were you able to step back? What did you see? What did it feel like to see this woman in front of you? And what was it to give her some support and some guidance? So share all of those reactions and feedback in the comments when you get a chance. And I want you to spend the rest of the day just checking in from time to time to get a pulse on your relationship with yourself. How would you characterize your relationship with yourself today? How is it different from your relationship with yourself last week? And that's actually all the homework. It maybe seems really simple, but it's also really subtle. And so I want you to be periodically checking in with yourself. When you drink water, what's your relationship with yourself? When you're working on something, when you're trying something that makes you uncomfortable, what's the nature of your thoughts? How do you treat yourself? How do you interact with yourself? That's actually where we're going to start, because we have to recognize the nature of our relationship with ourselves, and even that we have a relationship with ourselves. We must start there. So that's your homework. I'll be really interested to hear your feedback when you get a chance. No comments are coming in right now, but let me know if you have any. This training's gone a little over what I expected, so thank you for sticking around. And if you're watching the replay, thanks for watching the replay. Let us know what that practice felt like for you. And the last thing is the Date Yourself book is available for pre-order right now. I think you can order it. It'll arrive in your Kindle tomorrow. So that is your other invitation. If you know any women who want this book, who would need this book, who could benefit from this book, send them a message. Send them a message and invite them to buy this book. It is, oops, that's the wrong link. It's 99 cents on Kindle or free on Kindle Unlimited, and you can read the whole rest of the book. You have the first 3 chapters, but let's get you all the rest of the book because there's tons and tons of tools and exercises in there. I'm going to drop that link in the comments, and I'm really excited to share this book with you and share all these practices with you. I am going to be pretty active in the Facebook group today. We'll check in with questions in the afternoon. There's going to be a watch party this evening and another poll later on today just to get a sense of where you are, how you're feeling. And when you get a chance, do let us know your reactions to the practice and the nature of your relationship with yourself. Okay? Thank you so much for all of those of you who are here with me live and those who are going to watch later. I appreciate the time. And just recognize, actually, I don't even need to appreciate the time. I want you to appreciate the time that you just dedicated for yourself. Somewhere in the universe, you saw a post for this and you dedicated, you said, I'm going to show up for this. I'm going to show up for me because my relationship with myself is important. So this is huge. Take a deep breath, transition. Take a moment before you dive into the rest of your day. We're going to practice some gentleness with ourselves and just some self-awareness. Okay? Sending you so much love. Thank you so much, and I can't wait to share a little bit more with you tomorrow. Have a great day.